Welcome to the Business Hour podcast here at Magic Door Studio. My name is Shane, and today I'm joined by Jenny Sheridan and Alison Byrne. We have a fascinating podcast in store for you. Jenny, can I ask, start with yourself.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your business.
I'm a holistic therapist and I'm also a tutor. I'm actually mainly a tutor. And I offer online holistic training in aromatherapy, in massage, in reflexology. I also help holistic therapists to build businesses because I know a lot of therapists will train, have all the techniques and not a clue how to actually get out there. So I teach them really simple, straightforward ways of getting your business out there and building a business.
That's fascinating. It seems like a business that's made for the modern age.
Yeah, absolutely.
How did you get into that line of therapy in the first place? Did you start out as a therapist yourself?
I did. I started out as a therapist. I was doing aromatherapy, reflexology, healing, and then I went on to teach in person. And then I had people ask me for a long time before I started online training if I would do online courses because people were saying, "Oh, I have to get the kids minded and my shift work and I had to travel, etc., etc." I said, "No, absolutely not. I'm not going to do online holistic training because any therapist training needs a tutor standing over."
You're so hands-on.
Exactly.
Yeah,
To
yeah.
tell them what to do right and what to do wrong. Otherwise, they're not going to be a confident and competent therapist.
Yeah.
And I
And
had,
how did you find that transition to, as you say, crossing that chasm to like being actually, this is something that I can do online, that instruction can be given?
yeah, well, actually had a brainwave. I think I woke up one morning, bing, I know what to do. And what I do is I have my techniques broken up into small sections, and the
Okay.
students watch a short video, they practice the techniques, and then they send me a video of them doing the
Doing
technique.
it.
And I send them a voiceover feedback saying, actually, no, drop your shoulder, no, your hand in the wrong place, that's really good, etc. And students say that they actually find that better than in person because with the online, as I'm talking to them, they can see what they're doing wrong and it makes a big difference. Plus, they're getting my undivided attention
Yeah.
as opposed to me teaching a class of 10 or 12.
And of course, they can also, I'm assuming, pause, rewind, replay, do it over and over.
Absolutely. So I
Yeah.
always say, look, it's not a photography exam. It's just me helping you. The camera doesn't need to be perfect. You know, pick it up and move it around. It's real life.
Yeah, that's fascinating. How did COVID affect things? In terms of, was that a boom time for your business? Were you doing online prior to that, and or like what sort of impact was that?
Well, it worked out really well for me because I did have I did have a centre, and it was great, but it was quite expensive to run. And I had just the online had just got bigger. The online was more in demand than the in person at the end of 2019. So I decided, look, there's no point in me paying for this centre and all the expenses when people actually want online courses.
Online, yeah.
And then just after I had transitioned over completely, COVID hit, and I was going, phew, I know big
Dodged a bullet
rent
there.
to pay.
Yeah, that's serendipitous time. Perfect timing.
Absolutely, yeah.
And so your customers, I'm assuming, when you were mostly in person, your clients were here in Ireland.
Yeah.
Are your clients spread now
Oh,
outside Ireland?
yeah, yeah. I mean,
So
there's,
all around the world?
yeah,
Wow.
Canada, Australia. There's a lot they're mainly in Ireland still, but there's a lot outside.
Very good.
Great.
And are they mostly younger people that have just kind of graduated into the industry, or people who've been doing it for a while that want to transition themselves in their business model, or their career paths, or like what kind of, how would you describe your customer base, I guess, who are also business people of their own?
Yeah, well,
Therapists of their own.
they're both beginner therapists and they're more advanced. So I have some people who are just starting from scratch and doing an aromatherapy diploma or reflexology diploma, and then others who want to upskill, maybe learn about fertility reflexology, learn how to make products for their aromatherapy business, etc.
Gotcha.
And a lot of people then who are just don't know how to get their business out there because in a standard course that you go to, you're taught all the techniques, but you're not taught how to build a business. And I was like
course,
that
yeah.
myself. I know how it feels.
Yeah.
So I've come up with loads of.
So you're able to give them the benefit of your own experiences to help them build a business as well as be a therapist. That is,
Yeah.
that's a luxury. They're very lucky to have someone like you.
Good combination.
Yeah, for sure. Because it can be the most daunting part is the business building. You know, okay, you can be very good at what you do, but then bookkeeping and social media content production and all these other aspects in your taxes.
Yeah.
So did you and how did you and Alison meet, or did you work with Alison? Is that how?
Not really. We know each other from school, like way back.
All right.
More than 2
Where
years
was
ago.
school?
At least 20 years ago.
Oh, 30 years ago we were in school together, and we stayed in contact since, and our businesses are
Super.
kind of similar,
Yeah.
but we haven't actually worked together.
No.
Very good. And so what's your business? Tell me a little about it.
Well, I call myself a holistic therapist.
Okay.
And it covers things like, everybody has heard of Reiki nowadays. It's
Yeah.
quite common.
Yeah.
I do another hands-on healing called chelation. Reiki is from Japan. Chelation is from the Native Americans. They're
Okay.
just different strains of energy.
And it's different versions-ish of the same idea, same principles?
They're both drawing in the strong universal energy that's around us, letting it go into the other person, just a gentle touch or no touch, let it flow into the other person. And then their self-healing abilities, we're all born with a blueprint, have everything perfect. But with the ups and downs of life, this leaks, that gets stuck, that sort of thing. So the stronger energy comes in and gives yourself a boost, gives your own self-healing a boost. It also calms down the nervous system, the parasympathetic nervous system.
Yeah,
It's
of course.
a boost. So it looks after you physically and emotionally, mentally and spiritually, because you can't separate them. We're a mixture of them all, So that's
How did you get onto that path in the first place?
I hurt my back in '88. I hurt my back, and I was going through the normal doctors, hospitals, the whole lot. And then the next step would have been an operation. And I was very dicey about that, because you hear so many back operations that aren't successful. And I had heard of reflexology, and I had done a little bit of that, which I found really strange that time. Now it's par for the course, And then I heard of chelation. Chelation was in Ireland before Reiki came in. And I had a friend who had learnt it, and I started to go to a clinic once a week to have it. And it was really funny, because I was getting better, tiny increments, but I was getting better over the weeks. But my mind kept saying, this is only mind over matter. This is ridiculous, but it's working. So I'm going anyway.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to prove to myself that it was only mind over matter. So I lay down at home in the same position for about 20 minutes, and I knew I'd get up feeling better, but I didn't. So then I had to accept, there's something really
something else
happening.
going on here.
It's not just
Yeah.
mind over matter or placebo or anything.
Yeah.
I know now you can wire up the therapist and the client and actually see the energy or the electricity building up in the therapist and flowing into the client and moving around the client. But at that stage, I just had to say, okay, there's something working.
Yeah.
Then I had to understand it.
So you had to open the door.
I had to understand it.
Yeah.
So I did the first course in healing, and like one thing leads to another. And the different therapies I do now, some of them I've learned, some of them I've developed myself.
Okay, wow.
And then I got to the stage, not that long afterwards, just a few years afterwards, where I had this feeling, I have to share what I know. And I was painfully shy at that stage. I was very, very shy. So I was being pulled towards it, and I was kicking all the way. No, I can't. But eventually the urge to share it was stronger than the shyness.
Yeah.
So I did, terribly nervous, and the whole lot, start to teach. And now I love teaching.
Grew in confidence.
I love working with the individual
Yeah,
clients,
yeah.
and I love the teaching.
How many clients do you have, and where do you operate from?
Well, I bring them to my house. I have a healing room in the house in Beaumont.
Okay.
I have worked in lots of clinics outside, and I've always ended up back at home because people prefer to come to the house.
Yeah, of course.
I always would have more people
Yeah,
there.
feel more comfortable.
Yeah, and I do most of the teaching at home too. I have, the way you can open up 3 rooms into each other.
Yes.
So I can make a classroom.
Okay,
And
super.
I teach in the local college, which is Marino College, and Castleknock College as well.
Okay.
And I'm just about breaking into the online as well. I have a course 95% completed on dream interpretation. So that'll be my next endeavour.
You're going to have to tell me a little bit more about dream interpretation. It's something I've always been fascinated by. I don't really understand too well. So how does it work?
Everybody is interested because practically everybody remembers their dreams.
I won't get into detail, but it's some very odd dreams last night. Some very interesting dreams.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'd love to be able to understand more. I feel like it's not just like some people say it's just residual ideas that have been knocking around in your head from that day or previous
And that
days.
is true. That can be.
Which
There's lots
it
of
can
different
be.
reasons.
But it feels like there's an awful lot more going on.
Yeah.
And I can't fully comprehend. I'd love to.
Yeah. Well, one of the things we're doing is processing the daily stuff and kind of filing it into different parts of our memories, filing it with similar things that have happened. And we can also be resolving problems. Do you ever hear, let's sleep on that?
Yeah.
And you wake up, like you said, you woke up with an answer. Your unconscious mind is doing the work and your conscious mind is out of the work, out of the way. And it can be highlighting different things in your life that you need to look at.
That you need to address.
Everything in a dream is symbolic. You very, very rarely get a straightforward A, B, C, D, and that's your dream. You have to interpret it. So you interpret it on one level and another level.
So you help people to interpret those dreams. So do they sit down with you in a kind of like a talks therapy session idea,
Yes.
and where they tell you about what's going on in their
That's
head?
it, exactly. They would tell me the full dream, or might be a couple of dreams together, and I would be writing the whole way, but I just write one word the whole time. Then we pick out the words. Let's say you were dreaming about a cat. You'd say, okay, what does a cat mean to you? Could be a friend, could be a foe, could be lucky, unlucky, whatever. And then out of all those associations, we pick out what's the themes of the dream. And usually there's more than one. I mean, I'm very willing to have a look at a dream if you're willing to put it out there. You know?
Yes, perhaps another day. I don't know. The people who are involved in my dream, I'm not sure if they'd be too happy about me talking about it.
But the way I do
just
it
now.
is, yes, the person would,
But later, for sure.
Yeah,
If you're interested in that, that'd be super.
the person could be there with me, yes, and sometimes I work on Zoom as well, you know, or even on the telephone. It depends what people want.
So do you have many clients that you do online stuff with? Like,
It
say
would
Zoom and
be
stuff?
not quite half and half, but a good few would be online. Yeah,
Great.
yeah. And like Jenny, I was using the Zoom before COVID came in, so it was no big transition, you know. And during COVID, all the clients were online,
Yeah.
and it was amazing. I felt so sorry for a lot of people because their work was in their bedroom and their bed was 2 steps from the work and the whole lot.
Yeah.
But on the other side, a lot of companies were looking after their workers, and they came to me and they'd sponsor, say, 10 or 30 people to have Reiki or whatever it was at the time.
So do you work with corporates as well, where you give them
At times, it wouldn't be my main thing, but yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
And
yeah.
would you ever go to their business? Or,
Yes, sometimes they'd have wellness days or weeks or
Gotcha.
even months, you know. And anytime I'm invited, I go. I tend to be like that, you know. But my main work would be individual clients coming to me or meeting them on Zoom, and the teaching. You know, the two are balanced.
I see. So you go by Alison Byrne Healing. So that's your
right.
business name. What about your business, Jenny? What's the
My
name?
business name, well, is kind of transitioning. It was Essentials Holistic Centre, but I'm thinking about changing over just to my own name, Jenny Sheridan.
Okay. It seems like you're, I would say, just from briefly talking to you, I would say you're quite well respected in the industry in Ireland, and certainly by your clients. So I think putting your name out there is probably a good move.
Yeah,
You know?
because it made sense being Essentials when I had a centre, but
Yeah.
no.
Very good. And so I'm interested in, I guess, aside from the actual business that you do, what about website management and social media and all the other stuff? Do you do that yourself? Do you have help for that? Have you learned to, did you do a course in the business side of things? Like as you mentioned, you're able to impart knowledge to your clients nowadays about that stuff. How did you learn? Who taught you?
I just learned by kind of hit and
Getting
miss,
stuck
and
in.
something works and something doesn't work.
Yeah.
And yeah, I did do some business courses online as well that kind of helped.
Yeah.
But I've found so many things that didn't work and that took up so much time. So now when I'm teaching someone how to do something like social media, I teach them things that just work and don't bother with things that don't work.
Yeah.
For instance, what works really well for holistic therapists is to do a very short video, a snapshot of the treatment, even like 30 seconds. They don't even need to show their face or the client's face. And that regularly gets people bookings, and it doesn't take that much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Things like that.
Yeah, that's good insight. And yeah, that's something you can really you can only really learn from experience,
Yeah.
You can learn so much from a book.
Yeah.
Very good, very good. Can I ask you a tough one? A mistake that you made, something that you really, I won't say regret, because in my view, you can't regret mistakes. Mistakes are for learning, but a mistake that you made somewhere along the way, that if you could go back and go a different direction, was there anything in particular, maybe in the early days starting out, maybe you wasted a lot of time on a particular direction that turned out to be a wild goose chase, or
God, I'm trying to think of something particularly to do with the therapies and the teaching. I can't think of anything. I mean, I know I obviously have made mistakes. I just can't think of any. Can you think of any mistakes I made?
What about you, Alison? So, a mistake you might have made somewhere along the way, or are you the kind of person who doesn't, I mean, obviously we all make mistakes, but who doesn't dwell on things and, there's like no regrets?
What about a mistake I'm still making? Will that do?
Yeah, of course.
I was late to come to social media,
Okay.
Facebook, Instagram, all that,
Okay.
with a huge fear of it.
Yeah.
So I had to work my way through the fear before I could even sit down at a
yourself out there.
screen, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
And how are you with it now?
I'm much better, but Jenny is the established one on it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be teaching it or anything like that, but I see the value of it. I mean, of course I do. Life has changed so much.
That's it.
You know, when we
Really.
started off, it was business cards and leaflets, and that was it, and an odd flyer here and there. And now, that's still there.
I see. I mean, you still have a foot in both ponds. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, you've given me, you know, some flyers and stuff like that, which have its place too. You know, I've learned an awful lot from this. But you know, as you say, the world has changed. If you want to reach a younger audience and stuff, and not just a younger audience, just, you know, my dad is big into social media content. You know, if he books a trip to go away somewhere, he wants to, you know, learn as much as he can about it.
Right.
If he, you know, any particular service he wants to engage with, you know, it is through social media, and so
I
it's
remember the
adapt or
mistake.
die.
I remember a mistake too.
Go for it. What do we got? What do you
The
think?
mistake is being too trusting. When I got my
Okay.
when I built my first website, I built it myself, and it was all right.
Did you?
And it was grand. It was like on Vistaprint.
Okay, Vista, yeah.
More or less like using a Word document, and it was grand. And then somebody approached me, and they were going to build me this absolutely brilliant website.
Okay.
And it was, at the time, it was €800, which was, oh my God, now it's nothing. But it was kind of, oh my God, that's a lot of money. But the stuff she was going to do, but it was quite slow, kind of, for her to give me. And it was very slow and kind of drawn out. I found out that what she had done was gone to somebody in Fiverr
Outsourced. Yeah.
and got them to do it, and then come back, and she had paid them their fee and added on the same amount for her. And all she had done was said, she wants
Middleman.
this, she wants this, she wants this. And it would have been much quicker for me to go directly to someone else, or directly to Fiverr myself. So
Yeah.
just don't be so trusting.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a mistake we all make, and
Yeah.
and it's a hard one to, you know, as to what lesson can you learn from it, because you can't stop being trusting. You just
Yeah.
have to be
Yes.
more, maybe more observant of the red flags and
What
signs that.
Yeah. What I do though, when I'm ever talking about websites to students, I say, if you're going to build a website, don't hire an intermediary. Go
Yeah.
straight to the source.
Yes,
and get it
you
done
want to work with the
yourself.
developer yourself, or do it yourself.
So hopefully that saved them a good few bob. Hopefully.
And actually, I mean, the world is changing again, you know, so my kids are able to build websites with no coding experience at all, just using GPT and AI tools and stuff, you know, where that wasn't an option for us before, you know. So I would be quite certain, a woman of your skills, Jenny, you could build your own site pretty well. You could adapt and adjust your functionality just using GPT, ChatGPT, and yeah, it's. I mean, the world is going to change again very fast with the dawn of AI and stuff like that. That said, there'll always be space for relationship building, and, you know, to be able to work with a developer. You've probably, I would assume, probably feel the same when you're running a business. And for you, Alison, you want to spend your time doing what you love doing.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
like the recce and you know, the other parts, and you don't want to do the other. So if you can outsource that and find somebody who's able to do it,
Yeah.
it seems to be a path forward. In our we had a very brief chat earlier. Something was mentioned about aromatherapy oils. Do one of you make aromatherapy oils?
No, I don't make aromatherapy oils. I teach aromatherapy. I do certified aromatherapy diploma courses.
Gotcha.
I
And
don't make the oils.
and some of your clients make oils and stuff. I'm
Not so much oils, but a big part of what I've developed over the last couple of years is product making. So I started making some products myself. I started teaching my students, and some of my students have gone on. They've gone very far with their products, and a lot of them
what kind of products do you make?
Well, I would do balms, creams, room sprays, things like that. So it's a great way for therapists to upgrade their treatments. So if you're coming for reflexology, I can use a hormone balancing balm with that for you for an extra whatever. And also it's a great way for helping people for their reward and referral schemes. So when you come for your 6 treatments, rather than giving you free 6 treatments, I'm going to add on 2 mini treatments for you. Or bring a friend and you both get a mini facial, something like that. So that just combine the treatments with the products with the treatments.
I mean, it seems like smart business, and obviously it's again a more holistic approach. That you can kind of offer. Alison, we were looking at some stuff. So you have some courses coming up, do you? Or?
I have, yes. I teach all levels of Reiki. There's 5 different Reiki courses that you can do.
Okay.
Teach all of them.
So there's 5 different types of Reiki?
levels. You can start
Five
off
different levels.
level 1 where you learn to use it for yourself, and
Okay.
family and friends, but you don't charge.
Gotcha. Right.
If you want to charge, you need level 2 and Reiki practitioner.
Okay.
Like Jenny was saying, it's one thing having the skill of letting energy flow. It's another setting up a business.
Yeah.
So the two of them. And that was all pulled together in 2012. There was the Department of, it was called Health and Children at the time. The Reiki Federation and the Reiki Association all agreed on exactly the syllabus in each of the Reiki levels.
Okay. Super
And this,
standardization.
yes, and the Reiki practitioner was brought in for that reason. So there's 1, 2, 3 practitioner and teacher.
Right.
The 5 ones. So they're all, I teach Reiki 1 down at the local college, Marino, and the rest at home.
You do the rest at home, yeah.
And what I call my big course, or my main course, is called Chakras and Healing.
Okay.
And that's 1 Saturday a month for 8 months. It'll be starting again in October. Just
Okay.
finished it last Saturday for the last people. And it's, well, I think it's a wonderful course. Of course I do.
Mind me asking, I hope this is not too uncomfortable, but how much does a course like that cost?
That is 800. But it
Is
can be
that all?
paid.
800?
And it can be paid in installments.
That's, I think you might build up your price in there a little bit.
I beg your pardon. That's 1,000. The other course is 800. Can we change that? Yeah, but again, you can pay a deposit in three installments of it, over the 8 months. So that's
And so for someone who takes that course, typically what are they doing afterwards?
well, it's kind of 2 strains. You can do it purely for yourself, and that's the most important thing, to do it for yourself, because it's full of exploration and growth, and healing. And you'll be qualified to actually set up as a practitioner at the end and get your insurance. The important thing is that the certificate allows you to get insurance. So it does. And the first day of the course, the October one, I teach basic how the 7 chakras work, where they are, like an overview of them, if you like, and how to channel energy, how to actually feel energy and channel it, and the hand positions for somebody to work. And then each of the other 7 workshops is a chakra. And in the day of the chakra, let's say the first chakra, it's red. I have the whole house covered in red. Furniture, everything. We eat red food, red candles, red flowers, everything is red. So if you did nothing else but sat in the energy of the red for the day, you would be healed to a certain extent. Yeah. But of course, we go much, I teach a lot about the chakra, but most of it is experiential, where there's written exercises, energetic exercises, meditation, like really to zone in on the particular chakra, and writing too, reflection as well, and the whole lot. By the time you walk out, you feel better. And I know it's my course, but like, it is a wonderful course, and people, like last Saturday, were saying how much it has changed their lives, like how they have grown, family relationships are better, health is better, different things, So I love that. And the best comment I ever had was one of the ladies a few years ago now, when she was finishing up, said, I don't scream at the children anymore since I did the course. I thought, isn't that wonderful? Helping the next generation as well. I love it. The other
I love
course,
that too. I have to say, I think that's fantastic. And as you say, intergenerational. Maybe those kids will grow up to have a better understanding of their own mental health and well-being and stuff.
And the other, if I call it a big course I do, is called Heal Your Past.
Okay.
And it's 3 weekends, a fortnight apart.
Okay.
It's coming up now. It's the end of August, it's starting. The first weekend is on going back to your childhood. And we use the energy. It's for people who can channel energy. We use the energy to bring the person into an altered state or a very relaxed state. So it's not just remembering, it's re-experiencing whatever happened. Most of the time you go back to something that has caused you difficulties and you resolve them. You take the energy out of them, you desensitize to them. Sometimes it's stuff that you remember, other times you had forgotten. It's in there, but you had forgotten it,
How do you extrapolate for the person themselves? Would they have awareness of what their traumas are, or do you have to get to that?
Both. Sometimes you'd be lying on a plane. Sometimes they lie down and they say, I want to work on my first day of school. It was horrendous, or whatever it is, And then when we're working, their unconscious mind might bring them to that day, or might bring them to something else that is more urgent. That, you'll always go to wherever the most healing is first.
And what's the process then? So you identify what the trauma is. How do you desensitize it?
Use the energy. Like somebody would be lying down, start at their feet and move up. And when we come up here, I don't know if you can see, but in our abdomen we have 2nd and the 3rd chakra. And that's where a lot of these things are stored. Okay. And then by the time you come to that stage, the person is quite relaxed, and I'd start to talk them back. Sometimes they spontaneously land, or sometimes I'd start to talk them back. You know, remember coming here, remember getting up and going back in time. Sometimes we'd go kind of visualize you're up in the sky and you come down again wherever you landed. You know, you just go with the flow of each one. Sometimes they go in a boat and go back in time, back up the river, back in time.
It must be extraordinarily fulfilling for you to be able to help people in this way.
It is. Even like, I know I have to eat, but even if I wasn't getting paid for it, I would be doing it.
Yeah.
Because it's so good.
Out of love.
Yeah, absolutely. And fulfillment. And I know it's what I'm meant to be doing as well. And it's great to know that. You know?
How about you, Jenny? Have you a bit stepped back from that kind of more hands-on stuff? And do you, obviously you kind of came from a more hands-on model. Do you miss the
hands-on? Well, I
that
still
relationship building and helping people, like obviously you're helping people in a whole different way. In fact, you're helping people to help people, which is a much bigger calling, I suppose, if that's the word, and very fulfilling, I'm sure, in itself.
Oh, very, 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 yeah.
But there must be something about that kind of one-on-one that you...
I have to say, if I had to pick one, I would, and I said it for quite a long time, I loved the hands-on. If I had to pick one, I would pick the teaching.
Yeah,
I just enjoy it more and the interaction. But I still do a little bit of the in-person. I'm not actively looking for clients.
Yeah,
but I just kind of treat a couple of my existing clients and family and friends and that, and I do still enjoy doing it. I'm still kind of blown away by the power. It's nice to see it firsthand as well as.
And it keeps your tool set sharp, I suppose, as well, to keep yourself and up to date with. Is it, I mean, obviously some of these things are very ancient techniques and stuff. Is there progression? Are there new ideas and stuff coming forward? Are they maybe blends from other cultures and stuff and ideas that you can integrate? Has the space changed much?
It doesn't really. I mean, there's new ideas coming in and there's new experiences, but overall it hasn't really changed. But I have to say, with something like reflexology, I'm forever blown away by my own experience and by other people's experiences.
Yeah.
Like I had someone, a student who was working with a client, and the client had been trying to get pregnant and nothing was happening. Okay. And then she was talking to me one day and she was saying, well, I was working on my client the other day and I felt like something in the uterus. I didn't know what it was. I was thinking, what might be in the uterus? And she hadn't put it together. She was just saying, oh, it just feels funny like. And I said, well, don't say anything to her, but maybe she's pregnant.
Yeah.
And then the following week, then the client came in for her and says, you won't believe it, I'm pregnant. And my student goes, oh, yes, I know. Oh, how do you know? But something like that, it's amazing.
Fascinating stuff. I can't get over the transition for both of you to be able to kind of maneuver in the online space and that, and to be able to bring these techniques and stuff to people where you can communicate. You must both. Would you both say you're people who have good rapport with people? You know, where obviously we're sitting here, I can feel the energy from you both, and vice versa. But when you have a screen in between you, it can be a little harder. Does it take time to build that extra bit of trust with people? Do you like to meet your clients? I suppose the same question for both of you. Meet your clients kind of in person if possible first before you transition to more online, or are you happy to just dive straight in and just?
Well, I'm happy to dive straight in, particularly because some of my students are in different continents. As well.
Yeah, it's more difficult to bring them over for.
But I have to say that the rapport building isn't difficult. That was another reason I had a question mark over the online.
Really?
You wouldn't have any relationship with your students,
but you find it's not. It doesn't affect things at all.
No, it's different. But like,
do you think that could be to do with you and your particularly personality type and your ability to connect with people, or is it a skill that's transferable to other people?
I suppose everyone can do it. We just.
Okay, so it's a skill that can be kind of taught, like how to interact with people in an online space, a kind of one-to-one.
Yeah, I suppose once you're
losing.
Focused on client care and looking after, making sure they get what they want, and like I'd have a lot of ways of supporting students. So obviously there's the email stuff, and then there's messenger and phone calls and stuff like that. So Yeah, I don't like just to give students a course and go, okay, bye.
Off you go.
Send me your final assessment now, bye.
Yeah.
I kind of want to, make sure kind of how are you getting on with that and why did you choose those oils? Could you think of a different one? So there is a good bit of rapport.
And do you find that they sometimes can come back to you months, maybe years after, and with maybe, I don't know, follow-up questions, or just to let you know how they're getting on, like,
Yeah, sometimes they will come back with follow-up questions, and so I often hear how they're getting on. I got a lovely text there from somebody, and she was saying that she'd done aromatherapy and reflexology with me, and just let me know that she was selling her own products to her clients. She was absolutely loving it. She was running parties, teens and children's parties, where she taught them how to make their own products. So kind of taking my stuff and putting her own slant on it. And she was teaching in the local college, and she was doing really well. And that she didn't do it. She did it different things that I would do, but I think that's absolutely fantastic. It's brilliant to hear something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And you're a part of that journey too. And as you say, to get some of that feedback is, again, it must be very fulfilling.
Oh, it is. Yeah, it really is.
Alison, you had a bag earlier with some stuff in it, and we didn't take a look. Did you have some? Oh, it was those. I thought you had some tools and stuff.
No.
Do you want to go through them, or is that your courses?
Yeah, it is.
I'd love to know more about them. I'd love to know what courses there are, and perhaps how I could take one.
Okay, well, I spoke about the chakras and healing course. That's the 8 months, 1 day a month.
Yeah.
And then the Heal Your Past. Yes, there's 3 weekends. The first weekend, I was telling you, was about your childhood. The second weekend is called pre and perinatal, and that means your time from preconception. So your consciousness as an egg and or a sperm, right into conception, journey down into the womb, pregnancy, and being born, and just around that time. That's pre and perinatal.
Okay.
And it's fascinating. I mean, most people say, that's ridiculous, you can't remember that. When you're brought into that really, really altered state of consciousness, I hate using altered, very relaxed state, you can actually remember what it was like. And
what is that? I'm fascinated.
Yeah.
To know how what does that feel like? How do people express that? What is their understanding of it? What do you hear often? There must be commonality between things people
There
say.
is. I'll tell you, usually people that end up doing that kind of work have had some sort of an issue in the space. If everything went fine and dandy, which is 90-something% of the time, they don't end up with me.
Yeah,
yeah. And things like waiting. If there's no actual sex and the two know that it's going to happen, the egg and the sperm, and they can be waiting a long time. There can be things like if there's a cesarean birth, they may fall into we call it a birth script of people have to do things for me. I'm not capable of doing things on my own. That can be very deep and not even conscious, but it can really affect your life. Let's say they're coming through the birth canal and the cord is around their neck and they're being suffocated or strangled. What that little being understands is that life is suffocating.
Yeah.
Or maybe because it's the relationship with the mother, love is suffocating. And you can imagine how that would affect somebody's life. And sometimes the baby wants to be born feet first and they get turned around head first and all that. So it can be somebody that goes around in circles and can't make a decision. There's loads of them. And we look at what has happened with the particular person. If it's a one-to-one, we go directly to that. If it's on the course, I help them to go through it. We start off with meditation and then work from there. And you can heal. The whole reason for going back is to heal whatever the issue is so that life is easier, freer. You can, have your energy for yourself, not trying to clamp down this feeling, whatever it is. It's wonderful. And then the third one is going back further again to past lives.
Okay.
And usually we live a life, we finish it up, we have a space, we start another life, etc. But sometimes there's something that was either very stressful or maybe the death was very sudden, or there'd be some reason why there's still a residue or some issue hanging off that's affecting you in this life. And a very common one in Ireland anyway is where people have been a religious in a past life and taken a vow of poverty. And the vow is so strong that the energy of it is still here in this life. And no matter what they do, they just can't get on their feet financially. So you go back, you look at the vow and you untake the vow if there is such a thing.
This is very interesting. I feel like that's culturally Irish people.
Yes.
Can I say something about stuff that I use with my son?
Yeah.
When he was about 2, was about 2?
Yeah.
Yeah. and he had a fear of planes. If a plane went overhead, he would go absolutely...
Sorry, not just being in a plane, but looking at planes from the
Yeah,
ground.
he'd never been on a plane at this stage. Remember, his mind was saying to me one day, Jenny, I don't know what happened. He was fine, and then he woke up, and I couldn't calm him down. He was hysterical. I said, was there a plane going overhead? And she said, how did you know?
Mm-hmm.
So Alison said to me, tell him that the plane doesn't have any bombs, because you don't know where that fear is coming from. It's not from this life.
No.
So I remember being in a laneway and this man walking past me, so I was crazy. A plane went overhead and my little lad started going hysterical. I picked him up. I said, no, look, it's okay. The plane has no bombs. The plane has no bombs. It does have bombs. No, it doesn't. It's not allowed to have bombs anymore. Do you know what the plane is for? The plane is for going on holidays. And you and me and Dad, Nash, we'll go on holidays. It's to bring you to the seaside. You and Dad are going to play in the water. That's what the plane is for. And after that, that was the end of it.
It went away?
Yeah.
So obviously that was leftover memories of traumatic experience in a past life.
Yeah.
I assume World War II would be most likely maybe World War One.
Sounds like it, doesn't it? Yeah.
Something.
And the other thing that can be a problem in this life is relationships. You could really clash with your brother or your mother, or, without any obvious reason, boss, in this life. And it can be the one or the other of you have killed the other in a past life.
Oh, goodness.
Or possibly both have done it in different lives. We often try to balance things like that, So when you go back and heal that difficulty, then things calm down. And then you can have more normal relationships. It's fascinating.
Bit of perhaps an out there question, but do you think that love transcends lifetimes? Do you think that idea that somebody could have a deep love 1,000 years ago and that they can find each other again? Is that possible? Is that wild?
It's very common. It actually is very common. We tend to come in clusters. Like this time I'll be your mother, you be the child. Next time you be the father, I'll be the child. That kind of thing. I'll be the husband, you be the wife. We more or less balance it out as we go. And you will get, love coming. And
that's interesting in itself. Sorry. So it doesn't need to be specifically gender specific. It's just
no.
We're I won't even say humans. We're just energy. Would you say?
Yeah.
That finds its other half. It's yin yang.
And time has no relevance except for this plane.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's 1,000 years or
Great
10
point.
years ago.
Yeah.
And quite often you're aware of did you ever meet somebody and just really like them or really feel at home with them?
Yeah.
That's because you know them already.
Yeah. Okay.
And often there's a difficulty.
So friendship, not just love. It could be friendship.
Yeah.
And
Yes,
stuff
it
like
can
that.
be. Yeah. And if there's a difficulty in this life, maybe the difficulty will be a little less in that life. Maybe you couldn't get married because of whatever the culture was or whatever. And maybe in this life you come together and the difficulties are less or maybe not existence and you can be together. It's so good to be even on the fringes of witnessing something like that.
Yeah.
It's fabulous. And of course there are people that are still going through the different dramas. But my belief, and like I always say, you can never prove it, right? But my belief is that when we're in spirit, we are constantly growing and reaching further towards our bliss or our potential or whatever it is. And we say, okay, well, what I want to acquire or work on next is compassion, let's say. So when you get help with this, design a life that will help you to reach compassion. Now, whatever way, that could be that you're in a really good role or in a victim role, you'll design it. And then the spirits that are in your, we'll call it group, will fall into place because they want to work on their own stuff as well. And it's like a big jigsaw.
Yeah, I was just going to say it's like a giant jigsaw puzzle.
And it's a bit hard for us to comprehend on the human level. But in spirit, it's grand.
Yeah, it's different in the
Yeah,
world.
yeah. And the other thing that fascinates people is somebody who's very nasty to you in this life could be the person or the spirit who loves you the most. Because
How does that work?
When we're in spirit and saying, okay, well, I need to be abused in this way, whatever it is. And the next loving spirit might say, okay, well, I love you, so I'll be the abuser in that.
Okay.
And that's a big role because in the human area, of course, you'll be at loggerheads,
Yeah, yeah.
And it takes the sting out of it. If we understand that and say, okay, I'm in this position, let's say it's an unhappy relationship or marriage. I'm in this position. Why am I in it? Rather than, oh, poor me, woe was me, I'm a victim. And if you can see underneath that to the why, first of all, it lets go of all the victimhood. We have, not control, but we have power within it. And secondly, it's a different way of looking at it, and then you can move through it and out the other side. It's so fascinating. We as humans
beautiful.
are amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It's extraordinary.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
I feel like I could talk to both of you for about 3 hours. We could go very, very long. I haven't asked you an awful lot about the business side of things because, to be honest with you, what you do is fascinating in itself and very interesting. Certainly to somebody who has maybe some idea, but not a huge insight like you both do. If I could ask you one last question each, last same question. If you were 17, 18-year-old today, and you wanted to go down this path and you felt that this was something you could do, what advice would you give them? Where to go to train? How did they start out? How do they get on their feet fast and not waste time with dead ends and stuff like that? How do you find what aspect of these type of therapies that suits you? Like where do you begin?
I'd say, well, I first got started when I went to a one-day aromatherapy workshop with no idea of taking it further, and then realising how much was involved, and then was one step another after that. I'd say start off with a couple of beginner courses, whether that's kind of online or in person, to get a feel for which kind of therapy you're interested in. And then just start with one that draws you. And I'd say having experienced the online and the in person, and there's benefits to both. I'd say the online is great in the sense that you can tailor it to suit yourself. So if you're studying or if you're working or whatever, you can just use the online course. You can study online around your other commitments, and it's a great way to get started. But just be sure that your course is accredited, and be sure that you're going to be able to get insurance.
You mentioned the associations in Ireland. Is there a Recce association? What are the associations? Is there an overarching association, or who should people join? Who is a reputable accredited organization?
Well, to be honest with you, I'm going to probably go a little bit against the mainstream here. I'll probably have listening therapists going, that's not true. But I was a member of the Massage Therapist Association, IMTA. I was a member of the Reflexologists Associations, both of them, the Association of Reflexologists and the Institute of Reflexology. And you pay them every year, obviously, and you used to do a course every year. I'm not sure if you still have to do the course every year. And you pay them mainly because they're going to help you to get clients, because your clients can claim back insurance from their, if you're a member of one of these associations, clients can claim back. But I have found that being a member of them all, that the cost of being a member was more than the money I ever got back from people. So
so it's well worth it.
And what I find, what I didn't like, and I still don't like, is that it's kind of like a bit of you're a qualified therapist, and then this person wants money and that person wants money, and join my association, and actually you don't need any of them.
Yeah.
The main thing you need to have as a holistic therapist is to be insured.
I was going to ask you about that earlier. Yeah. What is bluntly what Alison might, for your business, what's insurance costing you a year? And who are the insurers, underwriters?
It's not much. It's around 190 or 100.
Okay, so it's cheap enough.
That's malpractice and public liability, and you need both.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Malpractice is if somehow somebody claims you've damaged them, and it would be very strange, because I know that healing energy cannot damage somebody. But somebody could claim it, and you need to be able to defend yourself. And the public liability is if they happen to trip or fall.
Yeah.
Or,
in your home and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so, Jenny, is that something you teach people about insurance, the insurance side of things, how to set it up, what things to have?
Yeah, well, really, I mean, there isn't much to it. I would recommend some insurance companies and what they need to have, but it's something you teach in 2 sentences, like just what Alison said is really what they need to know.
Very good. I asked the question about if somebody wanted to get into this field, like a 17, 18-year-old. It strikes me actually that this is something that that somebody later in life could very well turn to, maybe a mom or dad whose kids are kind of grown up a little, and they're looking for something with some meaning and purpose, and also can maybe help them pay their bills, because we all got to pay bills.
Exactly.
And it seems like an area that for somebody later on in life and can bring their own wisdom and experience to. Is that fair to say that?
Absolutely, I have a lot of students. Like most of my students would be around between 25 and 50. So I have a lot of mums at home, and they, have to give up work because they have children or whatever.
And of course, the online aspect would probably suit them because they can balance it around their life a bit more flexibly.
I get a lot of people coming to me for that reason. Like they can't get out to a class very easily, but if I can take an online course. I can do a little bit while the baby's asleep, while I'm waiting for the child to go out to the school gates, while I'm doing the hoovering,
Yeah, and that's, the great thing again about having little videos, like you mentioned earlier, about having videos where you can kind of rewind and play and stuff, is that you can do that. Maybe sometimes you just, you're mid doing something, your kid needs attention, or love and care, and you have to kind of step away, and you're kind of not quite in the moment of it, but you can always go back and rewatch and redo and kind of do it at your own pace to a certain extent.
Exactly. And one thing with an in-person course, if you miss a class, it's too bad. Read notes, but now you can listen to me as often as you want. God help them.
Not at all. This has been enlightening and thoroughly interesting, and thank you very much for coming in today.
Oh, thank you so much for inviting us. It's been a pleasure.
Alison Byrne, Jenny Sheridan. Yes.
Can I mention something else?
Please do. Yeah. Yes, of course.
Just if somebody is interested in starting out, particularly in aromatherapy, and they want to know about blends, etc., how to use them, I have a podcast.
Super.
Called the Aromatherapy Business Podcast. So,
and is that on Spotify and YouTube, or where do we find it?
Yeah, it's on Spotify and it's on YouTube.
Okay, amazing. Yeah. And do you have a website as well?
I do. My website is essentialsholistic.com.
Essentialsholistic.com.
I also have some blogs there people might like to have a look at.
Yeah.
So there's blogs about building a business for tips, and then there's blogs about aromatherapy and reflexology. So just if you want to just have a look.
I'm sure there's going to be a lot of listeners. Certainly will. And I'm assuming you're on Instagram as well. And are you doing TikTok?
Facebook. I haven't. Not quite yet. Gone as far as Facebook. That I do Instagram, Facebook. YouTube, Pinterest.
Okay, good, very good. And how about you, Alison? I think I see your URL, AlisonByrneHealing.com.
That's it. Yeah.
Is there anywhere else we can find you?
I have a little bit on Facebook. I'm not anything like as good as Jenny on it, but I hope to get there because it is the way forward, isn't it? That's what everybody goes now.
Indeed, for better or worse, it's the way it's what is that phrase? Adapt or die. And
yes,
you gotta change with times and move forward. And that it seems like both of you certainly have a head on your shoulders for the business side of things. And you mentioned earlier that you had a little fear at the start.
Oh yeah.
It seems like you've smashed through that wall and you're fearless now.
Yeah, I look forward to
gone right through the next wall, the next wall, the next wall. You never get it back.
Exactly. All right. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for joining us at the Business Hour podcast today with Jenny Sheridan and Alison Byrne.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.